The comedy's just getting started, so let's put our hands together for Matt Evans. We are going to need to do a little mic change for the recording, so if you can, just pause for a second, maybe hum a tune to yourself. That would be fantastic. This is our recording guy. Give a round of applause for our recording guy. Boom.
Oh. All right, right on. I feel like I'm going to go to prom, like I have a boutonniere on now. That's great. Hey, thank you so much. Give it up for Michael Dennis, everybody. Thank you all for coming out on a Saturday night ish. We're gonna get you home and in bed soon. Yeah. If you're not in bed by 8:30, that's on you. That is your fault. Like Michael said, I'm a horse veterinarian, which makes me a vet. Sometimes okay. Sometimes I'll introduce myself as a vet, and people get confused. They think I'm a veteran, and they'll say, "Thank you for your service." And I'm like, "Oh no, you pay me for my service." It gets confusing, and it gets me into trouble. When my oldest daughter was in preschool, she came home one day and was like, "Hey, Dad, they want you to come to school tomorrow to honor you." And I was like, "Obviously." Yeah. Pretty great. No, hey, I thought it was a job fair, okay? And I thought, sure, I'll come. I don't think any of your classmates are smart enough to get into veterinary school, but I'll come talk down to them for a little while. So, I mean, if you had met these kids, you would agree with me. Like, there's this one little boy, he would push his way to the front of every line. That's a future finance bro. A little girl who loved to pick her nose in the noses of her friends. That's a real estate agent. and then a whole group of kids that just love to start projects with Legos and never finish them. Contractors. We have any contractors here tonight? Anybody in the construction business? No? No, they're out just coming in over budget somewhere, I guess. Well, I wish they were here because I have a bone to pick with them. Every time a contractor, anybody in the construction trade comes to my house, they can't get started unless they complain about the last person who worked on whatever it is. Yeah, and it's like, I don't know him. I'm not going to DM that guy on Instagram. Yeah, and also I don't know anything about what you're about to fix, so I'm not impressed. Like we had to have the septic guy out a couple of weeks ago, and I don't understand how our septic system works. But I do know there's not supposed to be poop in our bathtub. Yeah. So I call him out, and so he's got the top of our septic system off, and he's rooting around in it, no glove. No, I know. Yeah. And he's like, "Well, would you look at that?" And I was like, "Here we go," and then he said it again. He was like, "Well, would you look at that?" And I realized it wasn't a rhetorical question. I had to go over there and look at that. And so I went and looked, and it was like a big hole in the ground full of my family's feces. So, I know it's a church show. I'm sorry to work dirty. And it was gross, right? But I also was like, that's where I expected it to be. So that's why I called you. I didn't think it was supposed to be in the bathtub. And he was like, what was that guy thinking? And I told him, I was like, listen, I don't know what he was thinking. But I'll tell you what I'm thinking is, when you first got here, I wish I had not shaken your hand. That's what. Actually, I got to the point where I really got along with the septic guy. Like, he gave me an option to fix the septic where he didn't have to replace it, and he said it would last 20 years. And when he said that, he kind of looked me up and down, and he was like, that ought to see you through till you can exit at the gift shop. Which is the most delightful way I've ever been told I look old and that I am going to die. And it should have been threatening and insulting, right? But actually, I took a bunch of hope from it, because I was like, he was telling me, like, listen, try to enjoy the ride. It's almost over, and don't forget to smile. We're taking pictures. You can buy them at the gift shop. All right, where were we? We're at the job fair. There was not a job fair. I'm sure you are way ahead of me. They were honoring veterans. I was slowly figuring that out. There was a lineup of people up at the front of my daughter's preschool class, and the people on my right were just saying random numbers like 82nd and 7th, and I was like, I'm number 1. The people on my left are just making weird noises like hua and oorah, and so I made a noise too. I said, uh-oh. y'all can all relax. I did not lie to those children. I didn't steal valor. That's what they call it if you pretend to be a veteran. We have veterans here tonight. Anybody? Clap it up if you're a veteran. Yeah, raise your hands. Yeah, round of applause. So I did not steal their valor. I did lie to the teacher, though. Yeah. I told her, I was like, listen, I'm an equine veterinarian. There's been an emergency. There's like an 8-horse pileup out on Mopac. I got to get out of here. Yeah. And I left my daughter to deal with it. I did, yeah. She learned a lot that day. Preschool's about learning, and she got an education. She learned, most of all, that the Evans, we don't steal valor. But later on that summer, we went on vacation, and she was confused, and she was like, so we won't steal valor, but we will steal hotel toiletries. I was like, yes, unless they're in bulk and bolted to the wall. Yeah. We're not bringing our own Tupperware on vacation with us. So I am a horse veterinarian, and I do a lot of comedy shows, and all the comics I work with, they have almost no idea what I do for a living, but they do know this. They know that I have access to ketamine. Yeah. And they would like to know if I would sell them some ketamine. I'm always like, no, I didn't bring ketamine to Dirty 6th Street. Yeah. You're going to have to come see me at the office. Yeah. That is a joke and a felony, just to be clear. So the only way you're getting ketamine out of me is if I perform a gilding procedure on you. Okay, most of y'all know what that is. If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to describe it. It's a church show. Yeah. You can go home and look it up on your iPhones. Look it up on Safe Search. Yeah. Those images get saved to your phone. It will crash your Chick-fil-A app. The other thing people want to buy from me is, especially if you spend too much time like on the wrong side of Facebook or you listen to Joe Rogan, people want to buy ivermectin from me. And if you want to buy ivermectin from me, meet me at the back afterwards. I'll write you a prescription. It's going to be for a library book. Yeah, so library card. We need to stamp out some ignorance. I'll recommend some. You're going to need a little light reading on parasitology, pharmacology, toxicology, oncology. None of those are astrology, you'll notice. So the other thing all the comics know that I do is that for part of my job, I have to put not just my hand, but my entire arm up a horse. And I won't tell y'all where, because it's a church show, but you can imagine where this might happen, right? And they love to ask me, like, have you done it today? And I always tell them, absolutely. And then the more astute ones will say, why do veterinarians have to do that? And the answer is for money. Yeah. Be crazy if we did that for free. What an insane hobby. Yeah, if I ever needed to get another job and they were like, well, I'm interviewing, and they're like, well, what do you like to do outside of work? And I was like, I don't think you're going to care for this at all. I don't. I haven't done this. I'll stop making this gesture. I'm sorry. I haven't done that today, and the septic story happened a couple of weeks ago. You can shake my hands afterwards. So they are as clean as they get. So yeah, maybe still bum knucks. Yeah, just to be safe. So I don't do that very often anymore. I do mostly dentistry. That's on the other end of the horse, and it's ironic that I ended up doing mostly horse dentistry because I hate going to the dentist. I hate it so much. I was in the chair last time I was there, and I thought to myself, like, if I ever get a terminal diagnosis, I'm going to be happy I don't have to do this again. And if I'm ever at the doctor and she's like, Matt, I'm so sorry, you only have 6 months to live, I'll immediately get out my phone and she'll be like, listen, we do this a lot. Please tell your family face to face. And I'd be like, no, I'm not texting my wife. I'm canceling my next cleaning. And horses, this is what I hate. Horses hate me, hate the dentist even more than I do for a couple of reasons. Number one, we do it at their house. I do farm calls. I come to them. And number two, they don't make their own appointments, right? Y'all know that, right? Like, horses don't call in. Somebody else does. So I'm always like the worst surprise party ever. I can't even imagine. I'm just at home on a Tuesday morning and I see my dentist roll up. Like, who scheduled this? They hate me so much. I have this one horse, his name is Colonel, and his barn's at the bottom of a hill, and his pasture's at the top of the hill. And if I park my car at the bottom of the hill, he will refuse to come down the hill. And that hurts my feeling. But even worse, my work vehicle is a Subaru Outback. Yeah, so think about that. I've made Colonel a homophobic horse. Yeah. Because of me, he's missing out on meeting a lot of lovable lesbians. Well, I'm not just a horse veterinarian, like Michael said. I'm a writer. I've got a book coming out. It's called Chomping at the Bit. It's about how I became a horse vet against all common sense. It's available. I don't have it with me, but it's available for pre-order. You can get it on Amazon, and I'll just pause for a moment while y'all all order it. It's just order too. It's in September when it comes out. You'll probably make a friend by then, I would think. No, I'm joking. I am very proud of it. It's being published by an imprint of Simon & Schuster, and so I'm very proud to join the ranks of published authors like Hemingway and Fitzgerald, and that wasn't supposed to be a joke. The very first published author, God. Yeah. How excited was he when he found out that he was going to get published? He got off the phone and he was like, Mary, that was Gutenberg. They're doing my book. She's like, I bet they make you cut Deuteronomy. Yeah, there's a lot about that joke that's incorrect, and I bet I've offended some of y'all, so let's just work our way through it, right? So, first of all, I know the printing press was invented a long time before the telephone, but God lives in heaven. He's probably always had cell service. Yeah. Number two, I know that God is not married to Mary, but she is Jesus' mom, so I bet they hang out. I also don't like the idea of God just finding out his book's going to be published and just having to keep it to himself. Like just sitting there and being like, wait till Satan hears about this. This is going to burn him up. The last thing about this I know is not true. Gutenberg was not God's first publisher. We know who it was. It was the medieval monks who would copy the Bible over and over again. Although God had to be frustrated with those guys. They did not crank them out very fast, right? And when he got a copy, you could see why. He's like, y'all are illustrating every page? Knock it off with the calligraphy. Well, as proud as I am that it's being published, I am embarrassed by the book a little bit because it's a memoir, which means at some point in my life, I walked into Book People, went up and down both floors full of books and was like, you know what this place needs? A book about me. And I know just the guy to write it. I was on TikTok the other day, and I found one of those, they have those things where you can diagnose yourself with many mental illnesses, which is just great. And this one was like, are you a narcissist? And so the first question was, have you considered writing a memoir? And I was like, I'm way past considering. It is in editing. Yeah. The next question was, have you considered trying stand-up comedy? And I was like, I'm through with this quiz. I'm not famous, and nobody asked me to write it, so that almost should have to be the title of my book, just, oh no, thank you, the Matt Evans story. The blurb on the front from the New York Times would read, we don't know why he wrote this. All right, so here's why I wrote it, because like Michael said, I wasn't raised around horses, and I became a horse vet, which makes my story like a classic fish out of water story, which is the basis for a lot of comedy. Like the most recent example on TV that I can think of, y'all probably all know, is Ted Lasso. So y'all can think of me like the Ted Lasso of horse vets. Yeah, except for the cool mustache, amazing dance moves, likability. Yes. I do like a V-neck sweater, though. So I do, yeah. It was an uphill battle. There's a lot of gatekeeping in the horse world. So when horse people found out I wanted to be a horse vet, they treated me kind of like they would treat me if I showed up at cosmetology school with this bald head. Like, no, you obviously know nothing about hair. I am bald. I'm sure y'all noticed. Yeah. I want you to know I'm disappointed in it, too. I am. Listen, people treat me like I chose to be bald. And I want you to know I didn't. I would have loved to have hair, been a Harry. That's what we call y'all. Did you know that? Harrys, yeah. I bet you get free coffee when you go places. No? People equate being a bald guy. There's a lot of bald guys in the front row. I'm sorry about these jokes. People equate being a bald guy with being a bad guy. And if you don't believe me, next time you're watching a movie and a bald character comes on screen, ask yourself this one question. Is that character being played by Jason Statham? And if the answer is no, you're looking at the villain. Yeah. That's actually only if the bald character is really buff. If the bald character looks like me, you're looking at the victim. Yeah. If I walk onto a screen, you don't have to learn this character's name. Like, I am not making it to the next scene. And I know you are thinking, like, Matt, what you should do is like work out so you can at least be a villain instead of a victim. And I want you to listen to me. I'm trying, okay? You would not believe how hard I work to look this bad. Like, I went for a jog this morning, and you're like, good job. That's a good start. But I've been jogging for 30 years, and it's not working. I've taken up swimming. We got any swimmers here? Yeah, all right. Just a few. No hands raised. I guess their shoulders are sore. So I want y'all to know I hate swimming. I hate it so much. Swimming is like jogging while being waterboarded. I hate swimming so much that I have no idea where we got the phrase, if something is going well, it's going swimmingly. If you ask me how a project's going and I tell you it's going swimmingly, what I mean is I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm drowning. The only part of this I like at all is that anytime I want, I can pee my pants. I think I'm going to quit swimming, and here's why. The other day I was in the pool, and there was a guy next to me, and he was so much better at swimming than I was. He would do 2 laps for every lap I would do. And he took no breaks. I took all the breaks. And then we got out of the pool at the same time, and I looked over at him, and his body looked just as bad as mine. And I was horrified. I had no idea that was an option, to get like way better at swimming and still look this bad. That's the exact opposite of what I want. What I want is to get really skinny and never have to swim again. That's my goal. Well, it's about time for me to wrap up and bring up y'all's headliner. But before I go, I just want to say thank you again to North Village Church for hosting this. Clap it up for North Village. Yeah. And thank you to Michael Dennis. This was his brainchild. I love the idea that we come out, we laugh, we join each other, we have such a great time, and we raise money for a good cause. And so this is my 3rd time doing a show here, and each time Michael says, Matt, just because we're doing a show at a church does not mean you have to include church jokes. And what I think he means by that is, Matt, stop telling church jokes. So with that in mind, I'm going to close with a couple of church jokes. Yeah. I think out loud prayer is just a speech that's so bad we all have to avert our eyes. It's like the pastor's like, I didn't prepare anything for this one, so you might want to look down. Please bow your heads. Yeah, I don't even know why we pray out loud like for a long time like that, because Jesus said when you pray, do it in private, don't make a scene. And I guess Christians were like, well, you can't believe everything he said. I don't know why we quote scripture to God during prayers, because me and God, we're both writers, and once you edit a book 15 times, you don't need to be reminded what's in it. Yeah, he knows that. He's omniscient. He's got it down. Y'all ever go to one of those churches where people will raise their hand while somebody else prays? If I'm sitting next to those people, I'll be like, you can put it down. He's not going to call on you. This is obviously a one-man show. If I'm at a church and there's a lot of people with their arms raised and it's going to be a really long prayer, what I'll do is organize my pew and we'll start gambling on who drops their arm first. There's this one lady at our church. She's older, and she can keep her arm up, near as I can tell, forever. And so I've made so much money, people betting against her. So I asked her after the service, I was like, how do you do it? And she says, I'm a swimmer. And I was like, of course you are. Of course you are. Yeah. So I'm guessing that the reason I'm not going to get into heaven is that I gamble on fellow parishioners during church. But honestly, based on how heaven is portrayed in pop culture, I don't know that I want to go. Like, I like to look at clouds. I don't want to live on one, right? Like that's water vapor. Talk about humid. Yeah. Think about what that'll do to my hair. And I do plan to have hair in heaven. Yeah. So I don't want to spend eternity in a robe. I don't. I won't wear a robe at a hotel. That's one of the few things I won't steal from a hotel. Yeah. And you guys have been a good crowd, so I don't want to be too controversial, but I'm just going to come out and say this. I don't like harp music. I don't. If I see a harp in heaven, it better be on the Guinness tap. And I think the reason I'm left with like pop culture ideas for heaven is that the Bible's not very descriptive. Like Jesus said, my Father's house has many rooms, but my question is like, what's the bathroom situation? Are we talking ensuite, you know? Because when I was in college, I lived in a dorm with a communal bathroom, and that was not paradise. That was not. We don't even know if God's house is nice. We think God should have a big, nice mansion. The Bible's been a bestseller for years. Yeah. Multiple film adaptations. But Jesus says we're supposed to be poor in spirit. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? The airline? You know, they close. That's not good. Jesus was describing his Father's house 2,000 years ago, so he could have been describing the nicest house ever, and it would not have had indoor plumbing. So I'm going to get there and check in and be like, this room is amazing, but I don't see a bathroom, and they'll just point to a chamber pot. And I'm like, and then what? And they'll just point out the window, and I'm like, I don't even know why y'all bothered having the streets paved in gold. This is not going to do. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I'll be like, actually, we can fix this. I know a guy. I know a septic guy. Well, I think heaven's going to be great. I think it'll be less like a Ritz-Carlton and more like an airport Hampton Inn. It's always open. There's room for everyone, you know. And I'll be happy with that because my favorite thing about a Hampton Inn is the breakfast buffet. Yeah, I think Texas-shaped waffles, that is heaven. Right, yeah. I do. The only thing I don't like about that idea is that I'm worried, what I don't like about a Hampton Inn is that they have families go there. I don't want children in heaven. Oh, that's the controversial thing, not the heart. I want children to go to heaven, but I want them to get their own, right? Like a heaven daycare. That way, you could run into an angel and be like, what do you do around here? I hope it's not play the harp. And they'll be like, no, I work over at the children's daycare. And I'll be like, thank you for your service. And he's like, oh no, your gambling debts pay for my service. All right, thank you guys. Give it up for Michael Davis, everybody.
Woo-hoo. Y'all put your hands together for Cam F.